In the quiet corners of your home, your devices whisper stories of innovation and wonder. Tonight, let's take a gentle walk into one of those stories, a human story, a night story. Welcome to Sleepy Tech Stories, where technology meets tranquility and big ideas are told in soft, unhurried voices. You don't need to remember anything. You can simply listen, or drift, or sleep. If you enjoy these calm journeys, you may subscribe and then let that thought float away. We'll go slowly tonight. We'll savor details. We'll breathe between ideas. This is not a lecture. It's a bedside light turned low. It's a series of rooms visited quietly, the scent of warm varnish, the hush of a late street, a desk cleared for thought. We're going to visit a mind that preferred the night, a mind that listened for patterns the way some listen for rain, a mind that learned to test machines in silence and to hold an idea in the dark until morning. Nikola Tesla has become a figure made of lightning in our imaginations, but tonight we place him in softer light. We will see little things as well as large, a cup gone cold, a pen lifted and set down, a lamp lowered by a careful hand. We will explain the technology in gentle language. We will favor feeling over noise. We will let the human scale lead. For now, there's nowhere to be. Your breath knows the way. There is a small room, not grand, not ceremonial, wood worn smooth, where a sleeve has brushed it 1,000 times. A bench is cleared. In the corner sits a coil, carefully wound. On the table, a notebook is open to a blank page that will not remain blank for long. The lamp is the patient sun of the space. Its glow is not harsh. It is the kind of light that respects a thought. Outside, the city loosens its day and forgets its rush. Inside, a different rhythm takes over. Tesla prefers the hours when the world stops asking for attention. Silence, for him, is a tool. Quiet is not the absence of sound. It is a field where faint signals can be heard. The faint signals are the questions that machines ask back when they are not yet machines. He approaches a problem like a listener. He sits beside it. He circles it. He lets it speak first. Sometimes he draws without looking down, as if the page will forgive him for thinking out loud. He enjoys precision, but he also enjoys the kind of wandering that finds a simpler path. He once described running devices in his mind before building them with his hands. Imagine that ability, to carry a rotor in your imagination, to load its bearings, to feel it warm over hours, to hear a whisper of imbalance that no microphone records. That skill reduces waste, but it also reveals intimacy with matter. He is not fighting materials. He is asking them. He is finding the rhythm they already want to keep. In this room, one soft idea repeats when timing is kind. Little forces accomplish large work. You can feel that in your own day. When you match your stride to a task, effort drops. When you force it, friction grows. Machines are not so different. For now, there's nowhere to be. Your breath knows the way. Before the bench and the lamp, there were storms. A boy stands at a window, counting the distance between flash and thunder. He feels fear and fascination fall into a kind of order. The sky is not cruel tonight. It is rhythmic. It keeps time. Lightning introduces him to suddenness, but also to repetition. The sky teaches intervals. He stores this feeling and later recognizes it inside circuits. Timing is not only for music, it is for everything. He watches as adults treat storms as random, but he senses something else. There are patterns pretended to be chaos, And where patterns are hiding, companions are waiting. Resonance, rhythm, alternation. He begins to build things in his mind, because his hands are not always allowed the tools they crave. He imagines devices like others imagine rooms. He moves them around, he opens them, he tests them. The practice begins as a game and ends as a method. Later, people will debate how far this mental method went, how precise it became, how long a motor could run in his imagination. We can set the debates down for tonight. We only need the simple truth. He trained his attention to become a quiet instrument. He learned to hold a diagram in his mind long enough that the error would step forward and introduce itself. That is a human skill. You have used it too. You have carried a conversation before you had it. You have rehearsed a difficult moment and softened its edges. Tesla used that same human ability with wires and fields and rotating parts. He let the future whisper its small corrections before metal made them loud. Electricity needed a voice the world could understand, and two dialects competed for the job. One voice is steady. It does not change direction. It is direct current, DC, like a stream running in one direction, carrying what it can, warming as it works. The other voice is alternating current, AC. It changes direction many times each second, like a tide moving in and out with reliable grace. You don't need equations tonight. Only this: AC can be stepped up to travel long distances with less loss, then stepped down to be gentle at the lamp by your chair. That stepping is done with a transformer. The transformer is two coils that never touch, but speak through a magnetic field. One coil whispers changes, the other hears them. It is an elegant courtesy. Tesla was skilled at teaching AC to move in phases, taking turns with itself. Imagine 2 or 3 hands clapping in a pattern that creates motion in the air. That is a rotating magnetic field. It invites rotors to follow, and they do, because the invitation is steady and respectful. Polyphase AC is a chorus, not a solo. Motors built on this principle prefer to start without drama and run without complaint. A factory grows quieter by degrees when motors are well invited. A city learns to distribute light without exhaustion. These are not just technical shifts, they are cultural shifts. Night changes its rules. The day pushes into darkness and calls it evening. In this story, antagonists appear in books, and arguments are staged like plays. But tonight, we let that noise fade. What remains is a set of working habits. Choose rhythms that travel well. Choose fields that carry the load. Choose designs that favor grace over brute force. Those habits endure past names. For now, there's nowhere to be. Your breath knows the way. There is a moment when a world's fair throws a switch, and 100,000 small suns wake at once. The night is surprised. People gasp because they have never seen darkness made briefly irrelevant. Stalls become shorelines of light. Walkways turn to gentle rivers. The air feels newly inhabited. Behind the spectacle are contracts and deadlines and the hard governance of budget. But the memory that lingers is simple. The night learned to share its territory. It is tempting to tell this as a contest, won and lost, a scoreboard of corporate strategy and personality. But quiet rooms live underneath that stage. Engineers marking up diagrams, installers pulling cable through hidden channels, a manager running a thumb over his tie, worrying about power draw in a single corridor. The fair glows, and 1,000 unglamorous choices hold it steady. One story circulates about kindness and debt. Another about a patent released so a company could breathe again. Let the ledger keep its secrets. We can keep the lesson. Sometimes letting go is the straightest path to a larger working whole. Tesla walks the grounds late when the last crowd has thinned. He hears electricity as more than light. He hears it as timing embodied. He watches the way the wind moves banners and thinks of fields you cannot see. He imagines a motor behind a wall beginning to spin with modest pride. The fair ends. The lamps go into crates. The crates go into depots. But a pattern has been installed in people's minds. Night does not need to be a wall. It can be a room with a dimmer. On the bench returns the coil, and with it a quiet song about resonance. Every physical system has a frequency it prefers. A wine glass that hums under the right note. A swing that wants pushes on the beat. A circuit that answers when you ask it in a voice it recognizes. Tesla's coils are instruments. They find that frequency and hold it. And in the holding, energy transfers with ease. Capacitors breathe in and out, storing and releasing charge like tiny lungs. Inductors gather a moment and give it back. When tuned together, small nudges add up. That is what resonance promises. Effort saved by alignment. Wireless demonstrations feel like magic to a crowd, but in the room they feel like timing, geometry, and trust. One coil speaks, the other listens, and the space between them is not empty. It is the medium in which fields meet. He explains this to visitors with simple comparisons. He is not hiding the details. He is choosing the ones that map to human experience. The coil's whisper becomes a lamp's reply across the room. A hand reaches out, cautious, then brave. People smile because a mystery has been made into a sensation they can hold, and their fear of it lessens. Gentle explanation does that. It doesn't flatten a wonder. It allows a wonder to be shared. For now, there's nowhere to be. Your breath knows the way. The second half of our walk grows simpler. Fewer names, more room for the air to move. There is a shoreline. There is a tower rising pale against the sky. There are plans pinned beneath paperweights and a map of the world with lines that want to stretch across oceans. He wants to send messages and power without wires, to make distance friendlier, to let the globe feel like a single, patient circuit. Money is also a rhythm. Sometimes it keeps the beat. Sometimes it refuses. Backers shift. The tower pauses. The wind says nothing about contracts. It brushes past and keeps its own schedule. He walks the site and measures the ground with his steps. He listens to the hum that is not there yet. He imagines the field lines wrapping the earth like quiet threads. He is not delusional. He is faithful. Faithful to experiments that have shown him pieces. Faithful to intuition that ties those pieces to larger fabric. When things slow, he writes. When letters return with the wrong tone, he tries a different angle. When the tower waits, he does not. He moves the work into smaller rooms again, because a big dream is made of small rooms repeated. The dream will not fully happen here, not the way he described it to himself. That is not unusual in human work. Many good ideas arrive before the tools that would hold them gracefully. Some become myths that eclipse the quieter truth. Even unfinished, the dream leaves marks. It sharpens questions. It pushes disciplines to improve. It trains a generation of eyes to see what might be possible if timing and treasure one day agree. The world expects genius to be loud, but it isn't. Not in the park, not in the afternoon light that spills between branches. On a bench sits a man who could talk about fields and resonance, but he is quiet and attentive to small lives. Pigeons walk toward him in tiny, deliberate steps. He feeds them. He speaks with presence rather than words. A city moves around this scene at its own clip. The bench allows a pocket of stillness. It's tempting to read loneliness into every quiet hour, but kindness is also a kind of companionship. These birds do not care about patents or credit or biography. They care that the food arrives and that the hand is gentle. The world writes books about the extraordinary. The everyday keeps us from breaking. When you imagine a scientist, you might see a lab and a formula. Include this bench as well. Include the patient act of being good to creatures who offer nothing back but trust. The line between engineer and caretaker is thinner than it looks. Both professions want to reduce suffering and increase harmony. Both listen for small signals and respond with measured hands. Evenings have rituals. The room is tidied, not for display, but for return. Papers are stacked. Tools align in straight lines that please the eye. There is dignity in order that nobody sees. He stands still for a moment to let the room become simple again. He sits and closes his eyes and runs a motor in his mind. The start, the run, the rest, a faint sound, a correction that is not yet real. He makes a note when he opens his eyes. The note is short. The note is enough. He does not chase 10 ideas at once. He lets one come forward like a guest who has waited politely by the door. The body is included now. He senses a field with his fingertips, the way some sense weather in their joints. He is not mystical. He is practiced. He has spent so many hours with fields that his skin has learned to notice them. Every craft has this. The chef who knows by smell the moment a sauce is ready. The musician who feels a room's frequency before the first note. The sailor who reads a sea's surface for the wind's next word. He is doing that with electromagnetism and steel. He's doing it with heart, too, because questions asked kindly yield answers that are easier to live with. He looks out the window and sees a late carriage, a lone walker, the smell of damp stone rising as the night cools. He is not sad. He is absorbed. He is in conversation with work that will still be here in the morning. Let the terms soften and arrange themselves where they belong. AC and DC are not adversaries tonight. They are different tools, one steady, one alternating. The alternating one is good at traveling long distances without tiring the line. It steps up for the journey, steps down to be safe in your hands. That stepping is done by a transformer, which is nothing more than two coils that never touch and yet share a field. They are neighbors with a shared fence that carries messages without making a sound. Resonance is timing in agreement. When you offer a system its favorite beat, it responds with grace and needs little push. Motors built on polyphase ACR fields that sweep and turn. Metal parts follow the invitation the way a leaf follows a current. These ideas are not beyond you. They are patterns you already know from life. Walk in step with a friend, and the walk becomes easy. Fight the rhythm, and you tire quickly. The world prefers harmony when we take the time to find it. You did not need every name. You did not need the exact dates. The shape of the idea is enough for tonight. And the shape is kindness. Reduce strain. Share rhythm. Let energy move the way it wants when that movement serves everyone in the room. Failure is part of any honest project, but in sleep stories, we sometimes avoid it because the heart is tender at night. We can hold it gently without letting it cut. Experiments do not work. Backers change their minds. The timing that looked perfect in a letter does not keep the beat after lunch. A design that glowed in the mind refuses to stay cool on the bench. Revisions pile up, pride suffers. He learned to let failure be texture, not verdict. He learned to sleep with a question and wake with a smaller version of it that could be held. The coil that sang yesterday might sputter today. That is not betrayal, it is information. He keeps the notebook honest. He writes what happened, not what he wanted to happen. The notebook is not a court, it is a map of where the path was muddy. He turns away from a project sometimes, not because he lost faith, but because another window opened and the light there looks kinder. He returns later with a new tool he did not have before. Resilience is not thrashing. It is a conversation with time. It is the skill of not letting the moment's verdict become the life's verdict. He knew hunger. He knew thin rooms. He also knew the warmth of a working model placed in the hands of someone who would use it daily without ever asking who made it possible. That quiet, anonymous usefulness is a form of success often larger than fame. For now, there's nowhere to be. Your breath knows the way. We love to name single minds, but the world is built by choruses. The motors that start without complaint, the transformers that hum along rail corridors, the lights that pool on kitchen tables long after children should have gone to bed. These things are made by many hands and many hours. Some belong to people whose names appear in textbooks. Most belong to technicians whose names are never printed at all. In a calm room late at night, it is possible to feel gratitude for this chorus. Tesla is in that gratitude, but so are hundreds of others. And the machines do not care about hierarchy. They care about alignment and maintenance and being asked to do what they are meant to do. Credit matters for justice. It matters for paying the rent and keeping the lights on. But beyond the economics, there is a larger blessing. Little durable improvements joined together across decades become civilization. People get to sleep without fear of the dark. People get to work without fear of the long walk. People get to read late because a light by the bed does not smoke. If you want a measure of an inventor's life, listen for the small, frictionless kindnesses their work made possible. Those are the inventions that age well. Those are the ones the world cannot give back, even when it forgets who to thank. Bring this all the way to your own desk. There is a lamp you can set a little lower. There is a page you can clear. There is a tiny task that has waited patiently for you to look at it with kind timing instead of haste. You do not need lightning. You need a rhythm you can keep. You need rests between notes so the song can breathe. Imagine deciding that tonight is just for tuning. You gather the pieces, you line them up, you see what asks to be first. You do not make war against the list. You find the small part that once turned makes something else easier. You can carry a problem into the quiet and walk around it the way he did, not to overwhelm it, but to listen for its better version. You can let the body help. Let the shoulders lower. Let the jaw relax. Let the breath slow itself. A few minutes where nobody needs a result can be enough to find a path. That is not laziness, that is physics. Systems with enough slack find equilibrium. You are a system. You deserve slack. For now, there's nowhere to be. Your breath knows the way. The title said, Lonely Nights. There is loneliness in disciplined work done offstage. There is the silence after a door closes. There is the pause when funding doesn't come. But loneliness does not define a person. Look again at the park bench. Look again at the habit of order. Look at the private smile when a mental motor finally runs smooth. That smile is companionship. The work itself can be a friend when you do not demand from it what it cannot yet give. There are people in your life who will never read your notes, but will benefit from your patience. There are things in your home that work because someone kept a promise at 3 a.m. to make the design a little less fragile. You live in a web of their care. You contribute your own threads, sometimes without applause. That is not sad. That is how we hold each other up without announcing it. The night is a good place to remember this, because the night is generous with perspective. It turns down the volume on trivia and lets structure appear. Under that soft light, you can forgive what did not happen yet. You can open the door for tomorrow to try again with a kinder plan. The lamp clicks off, the coil cools, the street resumes its ordinary breathing. The door closes, and the room holds a little of the warmth that stays behind after someone leaves. What remains is not only the machine on the bench, it is a way of being, patience, curiosity, the quiet joy of aligning with the nature of things, the willingness to release a claim so that a larger system can work, the courage to feed a bird even when you could be reading another paper, the vision to imagine a tower that would hum across water, and to keep loving the idea even when the cranes stopped moving. These are human strengths. They travel. They migrate into other rooms, other lives, other professions. You can carry them without being anyone else. You can sit at your desk and try on the habit of mental rehearsal. You can bring soft explanations to hard topics so other people can enter without fear. You can favor grace over force when designing your day. You can choose timing that carries far without burning out the wire. If your eyes are heavy, let them close. If sleep is near, let it arrive. The story is glad to have brought you this far. For now, there's nowhere to be. Your breath knows the way. We walked slowly through a life that is often told too loudly. We let storms become intervals, and coils become songs, and towers become lessons. We made room for failure to be texture. We remembered that infrastructures are choirs. We found a use for night that was neither fear nor waste. If you are awake at the edge here, you can tuck one soft idea into your pocket. Systems love rhythm. Your work is a system. Your rest is a system. Let them share a timing that is kind to both. Let the night be calm. Let the room dim. Let the questions settle to the bottom of the glass and wait there until morning pours them into the day. If you've drifted off, the rest is silence and soft sound. If you're still with me, we're at the doorway of quiet. You can step through whenever you like. For now, there's nowhere to be. Your breath knows the way.